Hey everyone, it's Randall, and today I want to watch why Tomas Haake still terrifies metal drummers. I love Meshuggah. I think Tomas is, he's an extraordinary drummer, and well, I wish I would play like him. Maybe in 15 years, but that's not gonna happen. Anyways, so let's watch the video.
Drummer that I actually was inspired to drum by. It's kind of hard for me to tell. I think it was actually the Elvis drummer. I don't even know the name of him, but Elvis was was one of my first loves with music when I was just like 5-6 years old.
Tomas Haake has been Meshuggah's rhythmic architect since he was just 19 years old, recording on all of the band's studio and live albums, including Nothing and Obscene.
As far as like it being an influencer on music, no, I wouldn't say that. Maiden,
okay, not
so much Maiden either. I mean, when we start getting into the kind of the metal thing, like metal bands like Slayer, yeah, a little bit. Anthrax, Megadeth, early years, Metallica and stuff like that. Okay. It was definitely like one of the. They were huge influences for the band in the early years,
From his mastery of double bass patterns to his out-of-the-box style and insane precision, but what makes him truly special isn't just technical skill, it's his completely unique approach to rhythm. While most drummers chase speed or power, Haake asked a more dangerous question. What if rhythm could be a weapon? The answer to that question gave us some of the most intense and influential drumming ever recorded, and turned a quiet kid from Umeå, Sweden, into the architect of controlled chaos. Let's start with the track that made Haake a legend.
Of course, Bleed.
The title for that track was initially Aneurysm. So there you go, and that's pretty much what it's about. Kind of an aneurysm in your head, like killing you, and how you're transformed from a living being into dying, basically. And written in stuff, of course, in a lot of metaphors and not written very directly as such.
This 7.5-minute monster has become a rite of passage for metal drummers, an ultimate test of endurance, control, and sheer will. Haake himself admitted that during the writing of Obscene, they weren't even sure he'd be able to pull it off. For months, it was uncertain whether Bleed would even make the final cut. He spent more time practicing this one song than every other track on the album combined. The challenge? A relentless kick pattern, often called the herder, where his feet play a steady right-left motion, while his hands lock into a completely different rhythm.
I just basically had to kind of change my approach to how I played the bass drums, because I always used to just like pummel like really hard kind of, and only like single strokes. And for this one, it kind of, I don't play as hard on the kicks. Like some songs I kind of lean onto the pedals and I hit it really hard. But on this one, it's more, I kind of lean back more and you kind of keep your feet in the air, and it's more like tap dancing. So you play it softer, but in a more fluid way. So that was a main thing for me, to kind of get that playing down to where I felt comfortable with it.
As comedian and drummer Bill Burr once put it, Haake is essentially playing two-time signatures again.
A lot of drummers say that it's pretty easy to learn, but even doing it with my hands, like, it's already a challenging. I don't know how to do it with my feet. So for me, for a person who's not, very into, I haven't spent a lot of time drumming. So for me, that looks impossible to do. Maybe someday I'm planning to do some more drum videos, and I hope I will get to this riff anywhere in the future.
Against each other.
Tomas Haake, I always say his last name wrong, is the drummer. So I went down there, and like every drummer that I loved was at that show, because it was like watching like David Tell comes to town and we all want to go see David Tell. This is the drumming version of it. So they were all there, and I remember at one point something crazy happened in a song, and Danny Carey was there from Tool. It's one of my favorite drummers, and he's like super tall, right?
Right.
And something crazy happened where it was they lopped up an eighth note here. Something happened. You thought the whole thing was going to tumble on itself, and they came out on one, and it was amazing. Right as it happened, I was like, what the fuck? And I just happened to look over at him, this giant guy, and I just saw him just go, fuck, like that. I was just like, wow, they just blew Danny Carey's mind. That is so cool that I just saw that.
Amazing too.
He was playing 4 on top, and underneath he was playing a different time signature with his feet that the band was locked into, but the crowd was locked into what he was doing with his hands. It was the sickest thing I had ever seen.
Yeah,
and it
I
still
love
grew. And
polyrhythm
people could
stuff.
still intellectually wrap their head around it because he had that 4/4 pulse on top.
What made Bleed even more punishing is that Haake had to completely change the way he played. He explained that he used to pummel really hard on the pedals, but for this track, he had to learn to play softer and more controlled, almost like tap dancing. The challenge wasn't just physical, it was mental. He had to relearn the pattern, internalize it, and then stay locked into it for the entire song while it continued to shift and evolve. But Haake's double bass mastery doesn't stop at Bleed. What really separates Haake from other metal drummers is the way he builds his grooves. While most bands jam in rehearsal spaces, we work mostly in the digital world. Haake explained, "We never jam. We all kind of know how to program drums, and I'll mess around on the kit and find something cool, then immediately leave the drum set and take that to the computer while it's fresh."
Nowadays, for me, on a daily basis, how it works is, luckily I have the opportunity and I have a drum kit here at the studio in the basement. So what I will do is I'll sit at the drum kit and play, and when I come up with something I think is interesting and intriguing to me, I can just take it from there, go upstairs and start, open up Cubase, which is the main program that we use, and just start programming drums. And so it's so fast and it's so easy that I can just still usually I just walk from downstairs from the rehearsal space, and I'm kind of humming this drumming idea, and just trying to keep it fresh in my mind. And I just sit down at the computer, and within minutes, basically, at least I have that idea, like the essence at least of that idea. And
I wonder how they record the first album.
This unusual process results in grooves that don't sound like typical drum parts. Even in metal, there's something else entirely. Take a track like Pineal Gland Optics. It opens in what sounds like total chaos, even though it technically has a straight 2 and 4 backbeat. But to Haake, the most important thing isn't to make the rhythm confusing. It's about flow. If you start headbanging to a track live, even if you've never heard us before, you can keep that going. Even though people might not understand what we're doing, they can feel that flow. And that's the most important thing. Songs like Rational Gaze are great examples.
Cool.
At first it sounds like total rhythmic madness, but listen closely, it's actually built around a solid 4/4 beat. The illusion comes from how far the guitar and drum phrases stretch and overlap. The result is music that's both challenging for the brain and satisfying for the body.
Yes, I love this riff, and I actually played it.
Another signature of Haake's playing is his use of shifting backbeats. Instead of sticking to predictable snare placements, he uses the snare to shape weird, overlapping rhythms. The beats sound off-kilter and chaotic, but somehow still groove harder than traditional patterns. Now step back for a second. In the world of heavy drumming, there are two drummers that constantly come up in the conversation, Mike Portnoy and Tomas Haake. Both are legends, but for very different reasons. Portnoy is like a movie director. Every part he plays is designed to tell a story. His drumming is emotional, dramatic, and dynamic.
Yeah, Mike is retarded too. Those two guys are just not from this earth, I think. That's a nice fill.
Haake, on the other hand, is like a machine, focused, relentless, and precise. When you listen to Meshuggah, you don't just hear a beat, you get pulled into a strange rhythm that somehow still makes your head nod.
That reminds me of Animals as Leaders a bit.
So what's the key difference? Portnoy is the craftsman. He builds songs that are intricate and emotional. Haake is the mad genius. He creates rhythms that challenge your brain but move your body. Bands that chase epic storytelling type compositions often follow Portnoy's path, but if you've ever heard that tight, choppy, heavy rhythm style, you're hearing Haake's influence. He helped create a new blueprint for modern metal drumming.
Oh yeah,
and the thing that makes Haake
Meshuggah
truly
were
irreplaceable,
pioneers
it's not just how
of
difficult his
gent.
drumming is, it's how much it still grooves. He takes these insane
And I guess that
patterns
they
and somehow makes
invented
them
the
feel
eight-string
natural. It's a rare gift. Most drummers
guitar.
have to choose between complexity and feel. Haake proved you can have both, and that sometimes the most complex ideas are the ones that hit the hardest. What do you think? Do you lean more toward Portnoy's emotional style or Haake's
I enjoy
surgical
both.
rhythm? Drop your thoughts in the comments,
Oh,
and
this
don't forget to
track
subscribe for
time
more
is
deep
just
dives on the drummers. It's
amazing.
what we do.
Thank you for watching, guys. You know, I love both of those drummers, and there are tons more, like Tomas, like a drummer from Animals as Leaders. I'm sorry, I forgot his name right now. And the guy who plays right now in Falling in Reverse. There's just a lot of good drummers. There's some beats that I can figure out how they do it. Like there's a song which is called We Are, the band Carnival, and there's some parts there that I can't figure out how to play because it's very unique, and it kind of sounds like it's out of tempo, but it's just too complex and too polyrhythmic for me. Sadly, the things that I can play on guitar are pretty limited, and the things I can play on drums or sing are very, very limited. It's hard to admit, but I spent a lot of time just I was not too dedicated, not too passionate, and I didn't have the discipline. And sadly, right now I'm not young anymore, and I have less time, and I have a work and a family, and right now it's hard to imagine how I can take my time and to learn some things, because if I could take the time, if I had a time machine, I can go back in time, I would have started my practicing routine very, very different. Like I started playing when I was 15, and sadly, I spent like 5 years doing nothing. And actually, if I started knowing how I should practice, if I started with a teacher or something, and maybe I would have different results right now, but it is what it is. And those drummers that were in videos are just my heroes, and I love their music very much. Dream Theater and Meshuggah are one of my most favorite bands, and I think they're pioneers. They started prog metal and gent, really put them into masses, and there's a lot of bands that took very, very much from those two bands. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye.